Joining us right now to discuss the creator economy, future of media, and so much more. I watch these guys on YouTube almost religiously. Colin Rosenblum and Samir Kudri, co-hosts of the Colin Samir Show on YouTube. They've got more than 1.5 million subscribers. They're also co-founders of The Published Press, and they're hosting a huge event. It's their first summit here in New York this week in Brooklyn. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So, before we just I want to get into the whole creator economy thing, but how did you get into this yourselves before we sort of establish, because, you know, we've got an audience that may not be watching YouTube but they may know you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles.
Right.
I always wanted to be in Hollywood, and I was a video editor. I got my first job at a studio. I edited on a film called Ides of March.
Yep.
And I would walk as slowly as I could from the entrance of the studio to the editing room, because I always thought maybe someone would stop me and go, "Who's that guy? Put him in the movie." It never happened.
Just like in the drugstore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it never happened.
I could see it.
And what I learned quickly was if I wanted to do that, if I wanted to be on camera, I wanted to make my own ideas, it wasn't going to be in Hollywood. It was going to be somewhere where they couldn't say no,
right?
Which was YouTube. So in 2010, started my first YouTube channel. That's how I met Colin. And we've been making videos together ever since.
Yeah, that channel was called the Lacrosse Network. I was one of maybe two people making videos about lacrosse at the time.
Do you think, by the way, there's like an alternative universe? And so there's, what might be described as like mainstream media, which might legacy media, old media, and then sort of new media in the YouTube world. And there are all sorts of celebrities and people who oftentimes, like my kids, will be like, "Oh my God, that's a rock. That person's way bigger than, I don't know, J-Lo." I would think that J-Lo would be big, and they would mention some other person I never heard of in my whole life. And
I just want to give you a really interesting stat about this. So there's a stat from YouTube. They did a study. 47% of Gen Z say that they're a fan of something that no one they know personally is also a fan of.
I was going to say, I think it's an age factor, too. They get so much of their content online.
It is, but we're getting into the point where, like, the fragmentation of fame is at an all-time high. So we absolutely can walk down the street together. There could be someone who's a massive fan of you, and then three blocks later.
One of the things that you guys preach all the time is this sort of idea of owning your own niche.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I'm curious about is everyone says they want to own their own niche, but at the same time, they're desperate for views, right? And total numbers. Everybody always wants to have the most numbers at the bottom of their video, and sort of how you deal with that dynamic.
I mean, the way I look at it right now is views are actually incredibly available, right? If you study algorithms, if you understand how to get views, you can find viewership. I actually think the difficult thing now is building brand, right? I think that's what creators need to look at now is how do I actually leave an impact on a group of people? And that's why you often say, go to your niche, right? Find an underserved community that's actually waiting for you and wants to hear what you have to say.
You guys are big evangelists for YouTube, but I want to understand the economics of YouTube, because there's a lot of folks who say YouTube great as a quote-unquote distribution platform. It is not great as an economic platform unto itself, meaning the ability to solely monetize just off of the ads, that the check that YouTube will send you is not going to pay the bills. That what's going to pay the bills is you know, having a different, an influencer deal on a brand, talking about, AG1 or whatever the product is, and that's really where the money is.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think depending on what your scale of viewership is, if you're doing in the tens or hundreds of millions of views, then YouTube AdSense is going to be great for you. But if you're more like us and you have a niche audience, like we make our money through sponsorships. But sponsorships in our industry now, I think, are becoming pretty significant, largely because 50% of our viewership on our channel comes from connected TVs. And YouTube has been dominating the living room, right?
And people are now watching in the living room. That's it. That is the big distinction that I think people have not totally caught up on yet.
More people watch YouTube in their living room than watch Disney or Netflix or Hulu, right? And so YouTube is the most watched app on connected TVs. And if we look at some of our friends, like Mark Rober, in the past,
who's been on
past 6 videos, he has averaged 24 million views a video, and his average runtime on his videos are 21 minutes. So if we're just taking a step back, we're all watching TV now, right? There's a great quote from Barry Diller where he says, TV is TV no matter what pipe brings it forward. And I think that's the moment we're at, which means now that, you look at our event tomorrow, we have sponsors like Microsoft, Adobe, Spotify, Google. We've worked with brands like Visa this year. We have brands that haven't traditionally been in our industry that are now stepping in.
When you think about the YouTube numbers, we all talk about this all the time, or the numbers on X, or the numbers on Instagram. I posted something the other day, has, 400,000 views. But 400,000 views, if you actually look at the chart, you'll see that, after the first, 9 seconds, 50% of the views aren't really there.
And 2 likes. That was the messed up.
That was the sad part.
And so,
how you doing? You recovering from that?
So the question, though, becomes how much you think the numbers that we're seeing on the screen are actually valuable numbers. I keep thinking about it in the context of podcasts that are going on for 4 hours. And I'm thinking, I don't do anything for 4 hours these days. So are the advertisers who are capturing the ad in our, even after the first half hour, is that actually really getting listened to?
For us, one of the key metrics that we track is watch time, right? So for our episodes, people are watching upwards of 50 minutes, right? So we track that, and that's super important to us, and it's important to advertisers. And for us, that's also why YouTube sort of sits alone against the other platforms, because you do have audiences who are sitting down on the couch ready to watch for long periods of time.
We've been talking all morning about this Google antitrust case, and I'm curious. YouTube is owned by Google. Do you worry at all that it is the central and only real platform that people can really make a living? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you think Substack can become YouTube, but is there anybody else out there that you think even has a shot to get to this kind of place that you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have creator friends who make money across all platforms, right? We have a lot of friends who are solely making money through Instagram or solely making money through a newsletter. I think YouTube's different because it's long form. And long form, like the fact that independent creators can make their own episodes of what used to be reserved for television or Netflix, that has a different scale of monetization. It always will. Short form content has, a lot of opportunity for monetization, especially because that's where most e-commerce and CPG advertising is. But long form creates a level of depth within an audience that's unparalleled. So even if, let's say, 10% of an audience is still watching at the end of a video, and that's when maybe the final ad runs, that 10% is extremely engaged, and that matters. So I think it's a filter for that.
It also depends where your audience is. You mentioned the published press, which is our newsletter. That's a business-focused audience. They're in their emails.
Right.
They're not necessarily watching our YouTube videos. So you also have to think about where is your audience, which platform. They may be on Instagram and not on YouTube.
Okay, final question, because we got to run.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of folks
I have a question, but you go ahead.
You got a question?
Fine, after yours.
Okay, just we have a lot of folks who are buying advertising on these different platforms. What do you think is actually the most effective right now?
I think working with a creator directly is extremely effective. I think if you do both, like run the media campaign across YouTube, but then work directly with the creator. We have gone from, okay, maybe you think of us classically as an influencer. Okay, we're making bespoke content about our personal life. To now, like, we're making regular formats, and we know a lot about attention, and we know a lot about how to build trust online. So I would say working directly with a creator is going to be the most effective way to spend.
No, it's just, so you made it, Samir, what you wanted to do, obviously. But is it doing it for you? Are you still thinking rom-coms or action hero or something like that? Or this is...
If Hollywood calls, he's picking up.
I'm here.
You're going to drop
Because people see you so that you don't need to walk into a drugstore like Lana Turner.
It is. It's very surreal. I think being on the eve of our big event here in New York, the fact that people have flown in from Asia, the Middle East, from all over the world because of content that
bigger than a Hollywood star.
Bigger than us, I know.
It's truly surreal. It's unbelievable to walk down the street in Mumbai and have someone want to take a picture. It's crazy.
Right.
But the thing that I think is the best is that we get to make stuff on our own terms. If we're excited about a piece of content, if we think it's ready to go out, it goes out. There's nothing else. There's nothing.
You don't do anything for